Welcome back to The Manager, presented by Outlier Sports. I am your host, Gianni Frangella. It was a good week in the NFL. Not so good for my fantasy team, but, that's how it goes. Before I get into scores and predictions, uh, NBA is coming up next week, and I am very excited for that. And I did say I want to do one a week of an NBA podcast, as well as continuing to do the NFL podcast once a week. So I am going to do that. They're both going to be under the manager. It's just going to be one's for the NFL, one's for the NBA. And in fact, I'm going to try and have it up in the next day or two, as well as this podcast. I mean, hopefully, I'll have this up by tonight. I'm doing this on Tuesday, October 14th, around 6 p.m. If I don't have it up tonight, I'll have it up tomorrow morning. And if I don't have the NBA podcast up at the same time, I would look for it probably Thursday, maybe Thursday night, worst case Friday morning. I am going to be going out of town tomorrow, but I'm going to try and do like an NBA preview uh, this week, and then next week when the games start, we're going to get into everything. So very excited for that. Very excited for the NBA season. I'm excited to start talking about it. So looking forward to that. Anyways, let's get into the NFL Week 6. I recorded my last pod during this Giants and Eagles game. I believe it was like 13-10 when I got into the pod. And I actually had the Eagles minus 6.5 in a parlay. And when I saw they got it to 13-10, I was hopeful that, oh well, now they're back in the game. They're gonna kind of run away with it. They did not. The Giants ran away from them 34-17, just a debilitating loss for the Eagles. Very embarrassing. Huge win for the Rooks. Jackson Dart and Cam Scatterbo both look very impressive and a little intimidating, if I do say so from myself as a Broncos fan, because we play them next week, and we did not do too well against the Jets in London. We won 13-11, but it was real scary there for a second. I mean, just no offense, and then the safety. I mean, our thank God our defensive line is as incredible as it is. And that first of all, that should have been a fumble. That Garrett Wilson catch that Pat Surtain knocked out, that should have been a fumble. But I digress. We won the game. That's all that matters. But at the end of the day, it was not a pretty win. So I'm hoping we can get a more confident win against the Giants this next week. Seahawks at the Jaguars. I took the Seahawks with this one, and I wrestled with that pick, but I'm glad I took the Seattle because they won. Chargers squeak past the Dolphins. Not an impressive win for them, and I'll talk about them a little bit more later on. Another unimpressive win was the Rams over the Ravens. It was 17-3, but it was tied at halftime. And I said last week, I believe my word for word statement was Rams by a million. And it should have been closer to a million than it was. I like they're missing all their defensive starters. They got Cooper Rush in there. I know it was in Baltimore. I know you lost Nakua mid game, but this should have been a more confident win. Another unimpressive win was the Colts over the Cardinals. 4-1 team. You're at home. You're playing a team that does not have their starting quarterback, does not have their first, second, or third string running back. And they made it close with you. Very unimpressive win for the Colts. Panthers 30-27 over the Cowboys. Man, how about the Panthers? How about the Cowboys? Yeesh. Cowboys can beat anybody, they can lose to anybody. It's one of those years for them, man. Patriots 25-19 over the Saints. No surprise there. Good for the Patriots, man. I mean, I as a Broncos fan, I despise them with Tom Brady, but now that he's gone, I don't know. I don't really care. Um, 23-9 Steelers over the Browns. No surprise. Raiders 20-10 over the Titans. I did pick the Titans for this game. I think I was trying to be cool, be different. Thought I could predict an upset, and instead their coach got fired. Yikes. My bad, bro. Buccaneers 30-19 over the 49ers. How about the Buccaneers, man? Gotta love it. Packers 27-18 over the Bengals. This is another win that I think should have been more confident than it was. And I know that Flacco and the Bengals kind of got it going in the second half, but I really just mean that at least for the first half, the Packers offense probably should have done more because the Bengals defense is putrid. Just, forget what their offense looked like in the first half, which was putrid. The Bengals defense is just pathetic, like all around. And the fact that their offense couldn't do anything and kept putting their defense out there, and the Packers still couldn't run up more points on them, I think was a little unimpressive to me. But maybe I'm just being a stickler. A win's a win. Chiefs 30-17 over the Lions. This wasn't surprising to me. I did pick the Chiefs to win, and I don't think it's a referendum on really either team. I think they could have been playing the Monstars and they would have won. It's simply their pedigree was not going to allow them to go 2-4. It just wasn't going to happen. They could have been playing anybody, they would have won that game. So I don't think really differently about the Lions. And I'm still a little that touchdown they called back where Goff, went out wide. I've never heard that rule before in my life. Um, I'm not trying to claim they made it up for the Chiefs, but I don't know. It's a little weird. Um, Falcons 24-14 over the Bills. This was a shocker. Bills are starting to slip a little bit. Huge win for the Falcons. I do have to give some credit to where credit's due. A buddy of mine in my fantasy league traded A-Chain for Drake London straight up, which I still think is not a great deal. I got to give him credit. It didn't affect him this week, even though they both had the same fantasy output. Regardless, my critique was more so about Drake London, and he was phenomenal this week. So, Riker, there's your flowers. Bears 25-24 over the Commanders in a game-winning field goal. Redemption for Jake Moody. Really tough moment for Jaden Daniels. What a week of football. Week 7, Thursday night, Steelers versus the Bengals. God, that's going to be a horrible game to watch. AFC North games are always bad, but when you have 2 40-year-old QBs in particular, it's probably really bad. Give me the Steelers. Rams, Jaguars in London. Mm, I'm a little compelled to take the Jags because they're kind of the London team, and I don't think they're that bad of a team. Give me the Jags. Let's go with the Jags. Eagles in Minnesota against the Vikings. Give me the Eagles. Patriots in Tennessee against the Titans. Give me the Patriots. Mike Vrabel revenge game. Panthers in New York against the Jets. God, that's a horrible game. Maybe not that bad. Panthers are showing some light. I'm going to take the Panthers. Dolphins at the Browns. Now that's a horrible game. Oh my God. It stinks in here. Give me Miami. Saints in Chicago against the Bears. Give me the Bears. Raiders in Kansas City against the Chiefs. Chiefs for sure. Colts in LA against the Chargers. Now, this one's a little tricky. I'm gonna go with the Colts, which is going to be a little contradictory to a segment I have today, but I'm picking them nonetheless. Giants in Denver against the Broncos. Come on now, give me the Broncos. Packers in Arizona against the Cardinals. I'm definitely going to go with the Packers. Commanders in Dallas against the Cowboys. This is tough because I genuinely almost put the Commanders as underachievers, but I didn't because they missed Jaden Daniels for a game I think they would have won. But they probably should have won last night, yet they blew it. I'm gonna go with the Cowboys. Like I said, I think they can beat anybody. They can lose to anybody. Give me the Cowboys. It's in Dallas. Falcons at the Niners. Give me the Niners. Buccaneers. Well, the Niners will probably have Purdy and all those people back. Buccaneers in Detroit against the Lions. Whoo boy, what a game! That is a game right there. It's the first of 2 Monday night games. I'm going to go with the Buccaneers. I'm feeling the Buccaneer fever. I got Baker on my fantasy team. I'm feeling it. Texans in Seattle against the Seahawks. Give me the Seahawks. All right. let's get into the rest of it here. Super Bowl matchup. I'm sticking with the Bills Lions mainly because I don't really know who else I'd put in there. I love the Buccaneers, but I think it's a little early to say, especially because with how many injuries they have right now, you don't even know what their team's going to look like in the playoffs. So I'm pumping the brakes on that one. And also, like I said, I picked the Chiefs to win that game. I'm not surprised that they lost. I don't think it's a referendum on the Lions. Their only losses are to some really good teams, which you will play in the playoffs, but still, Lions are my pick. And the Bills, I don't know who else I would pick that really tickles my fancy because I'm not going to pick the Colts. I just don't. I think that's so much of a reach. I'm not going to pick the Steelers. I have a Steelers. My buddy is a Steelers fan, and I think he would tell you probably not to pick them either. The Chargers, I'm not going to pick over the Bills again. Just the last 3 weeks for the Chargers have been very underwhelming. Two bad losses and a squeak by win against a one-win team. I'm not impressed. Not picking them over the Bills. The Patriots, I'm not going to pick them over the Bills, but let's give some kudos to the Patriots, man. I mean, come on, what year is it that the Colts, the Steelers, the Chargers, and the Patriots are top four teams in the AFC? Are we in the 2000s? Um, but nonetheless, I'm going with the Bills. I'm not picking the Jags, and as much as I'd love to, I'm not picking the Broncos. The one team I think, in theory, I might pick to beat them in a playoff game right now is the Kansas City Chiefs, and they'll probably make the playoffs, but I'm just not going to go that far yet because they're not even in the playoff picture right now. But I'm not going to go that far yet. I still think the Bills are the team that's going to come out of the AFC. Dark horses. Still got the same three teams: Chargers, Rams, Buccaneers. Feels a little. I mean, the Buccaneers are tied for the best record in the league, so maybe I shouldn't be in the dark horse category. But I think you got to think big picture. Do you think in your head right now they're the best team in the league? I don't. I love the Buccaneers. I'm riding high on them. Do I think they're the best team in the league? No, I'm not going to say that. Um, and I almost put them in the overachiever category, but I felt that was unfair considering like they're winning these games in spite of a lot of injuries. So maybe they're just a really good team. You got to think, what will they do if all these guys come back? And again, I think that's part of why I think it's justifiable to have them in the dark horse category, is because we don't know what their health is going to look like. And until that levels out, until Bucky Irving comes back, Ibuka comes back, Evans, I think, is supposed to come back this week. But until they get all these guys back, Godwin, McMillan, until that levels out a little bit, I have to put them in the dark horse category because you don't know what team they're going to be. Overachievers. I put the Jaguars in here last week, and I was kind of right because they lost. Not knocking too hard on them. I just didn't. I thought they were due for a loss, and they did. They lost. I'm putting the Colts up here, and this. I feel like now because of the Eagles fans, I have to put a disclaimer every time of like, I'm not saying you suck or that you're way overrated or whatever, but the Colts are currently tied for the best record in the league. Do I think they're the best team in the league? No. Do I think how good they are in essence is represented by a 5-1 record that is tied for best in the league? No, I think that's a misrepresentation. Therefore, I think they're overachieving. And again, this should have been a blowout win against the Cardinals if they were, of the pedigree that their record says they are, and they did not blow them out. I'm not going to elaborate or go too deep into this. I still think they're a good team, and I know I just picked them to beat the Chargers, but I feel like they're overachieving a little bit, and that's just why I have them up here. Underachievers, I had the Ravens here last week, and I'm going to keep them just because, I don't know. I mean, they didn't win, and I know that they have a bunch of injuries, so I'm not going to be too harsh on them. But you're still 1-5 through 6 games. That is underachieving for the Baltimore Ravens and what you expected out of this year, and even with the injuries. And I don't have anyone to add because I don't. There's no one else I really feel like is tremendously underachieving. There's a couple teams that I'm like, maybe they should have won this game. Maybe they could be a game better, but that's nitpicking. Um, I could say that for a lot of teams, even some teams that are doing really well. MVP ladder. Baker Mayfield, number one. Why the hell not? Tell me why Baker Mayfield should not be first in the MVP voting. He's got 1,539 yards, which is fourth in the league. 12 touchdowns, tied for third. Only one interception, only one fumble, 5-1, 4 wins that came in the clutch. In the crunch time of a game, we had to come through in the clutch. But another thing, like I said, think of all these injuries. They've they've missed Godwin for some games. They've missed Evans for some games. They've missed Bucky Irvings for some games. He's still out. McMillan's missed time. Igbuka is probably going to miss time now. All of these injuries, they are still winning games. It is because of Baker Mayfield. I mean, it's awesome to watch, man. And I think when you really look at it too, like you look at all that talent that is missing and that is injured, I think before the year we kind of all looked at it as like, Baker's great. We all love him. It's a great story, but I think we all felt like that talent really elevated him. And now we're seeing that without it, he's still willing this team to win. It's to the best record, tied for the best record in the league. How can he not be the MVP, man? Matthew Stafford, I have here at second. He was first last week. I moved him down. And mostly it's just because Baker's so impressive. Stafford, first in the league at 1,684 yards, 12 touchdowns, tied for third, 2 interceptions, 3 fumbles, which is second among all, fumblers in the league. 4-2 record. Um, Still a really impressive resume. I think you can argue maybe he's a few slots down here, but I think he's number 2 for me right now. Number 3, Jared Goff, 1,390 yards, which is 10th, but he's first in the league in touchdowns with 14, only 2 interceptions, 1 fumble, and they are 4-2 with 2 good losses. And I say that meaning 2 good teams. Josh Allen, I have at number 4, and some people I think I've seen would probably have him higher, but here's my thing. I'll go through his stats first. He's got 1,397 yards, which is ninth, 11 touchdowns, tied for fifth, 4 interceptions, 254 rushing yards, 3 touchdowns, which is tied for sixth. Actually, I don't think that's sorry. That's not up to date. He is not tied for sixth in touchdowns. I'll tell you what he is up there for. He is first among everyone in the league in fumbles. Not just quarterbacks, everyone in the league. So he's got 8 turnovers, more fumbles than literally anyone in the league. And they've had 2, I don't want to say bad losses, but they lost 2 games to teams they should have beat, in my opinion. And now they're not even leading their division. He's got to be no higher than 4, in my opinion. And that's, again, it's a weird year. The usual suspects are not having MVP years. I almost threw Mahomes up there, but they're not even in the playoff picture right now. And statistically, he's not as impressive as any of these people. So it's just a weird year, man. The usual suspects are not up for the award. They're just not. Stars of the week, Rico Dowdle, 30 carries, 183 yards, 4 catches, 56 yards, and a touchdown. Holy crap, man. If you're Chuba Hubbard, that's tough, man. You got hurt for 2 weeks and you lost your job. I mean, at least you should. And it's really not even your fault. It's just because how do you not give this guy the job after the production that he is having in his absence? At the very least, you should be looking at a split backfield. If you're going to go 50-50, okay. But I think you should have Rico Dowdle be the main guy, or at least the lead back. Bijan Robinson, 19 carries, 170 yards, a touchdown, 6 catches, 68 yards. Huge game and a huge win for the Falcons. George Pickens, 9 catches, 168 yards, and a touchdown. I'm curious to see what he will look like with CD comes back, because similar to Rico Dowdle, I mean, and it's a little different when to say who's WR1 because they're both out there, and it's really just more about who Dak throws to more and who the opposing team puts their best guy on. I feel like George Pickens should kind of be the WR1 from this point on. Um, and it's nothing against CD, but he may not come back 100%. He may be nursing this ankle a slight bit. And on top of that, Pickens has just been going off. He's caught a touchdown for each of the last 5 weeks, and he's getting open. He's catching the ball. He's kind of been CD in CD's absence. And I'm curious to see when they're both back out there who Dak sees as his WR1. And I really hope it's George Pickens because I just traded CD Lamb. Um, and yes, I did have both of them. I only traded for Pickens when CD got hurt. But nonetheless, that's Stars of the Week for who did what. Kamani Vidal. Who? I'll tell you who. He's a son of a bitch who I had to play in fantasy against a guy who really needed it. Like his other options besides Vidal was Kareem Hunt and RJ Harvey. He was strapped for running back options, and he found one. He found one. All right. And Kamani Vidal, 18 carries, 124 yards, 4 catches, 15 yards, and a touchdown. Huge game for him, man. And it's kind of I was kind of surprised to read that the Chargers are looking to trade for a running back just because he had such a big game. And it's not to say that they should think, oh well, problem solved. Look at what this guy did. However, it's just typically when you're in need of a running back, you're down some running backs, and then you have a guy step up and give you a game like this. You typically don't think your next thought isn't we need to go get another running back. However, as a Kenneth Walker owner, I beg of you, please trade for Kenneth Walker. It would help me so much. I don't care what the rest of the logistics are, how it helps your team, what you have to give up to get him. Just make it happen. It would be huge for me. I really appreciate it. Disappointments. Quinshon Judkins, 12 carries, 36 yards. Cortland Sutton, 1 catch, 3 targets, 7 yards. Only 3 targets, I get that, but come on, you should have gotten open more. And I mean, I get it. The offense was just terrible. It was not impressive. But still, I got to put you up here because you've been lofted into this A tier of receivers. And when you play a game like that, I hate to do it, Court, but I got to. Ramondre Stevenson, 13 carries for 18 yards. I don't know if I've ever seen someone who is in a position of pressure to step up their performance so that they keep their job go the opposite direction in the way that Ramondre Stevenson has. Because they drafted Travion Henderson. And I mean, Travion Henderson was huge on fantasy boards. A lot of people coming into the year thought that he was probably just going to take over the lead back position. And then a lot of people figured at least by now he would have. And Ramondre, either he's not feeling the pressure or he is crumbling under it because, you have this pressure. They draft this rookie running back. You need to step up to keep your job. What do? You continue this fumble spree. You are not running well. 7 carries for 14 yards last week. 13 carries, the most he's had all year this week. 13 carries, 18 yards. 18 yards. That is pathetic. I'm sorry. So, again, either he is not feeling the pressure, doesn't realize he doesn't realize it's there, or he knows it's there and he is crumbling under it and is just playing horrible. Or maybe he's just not that good. Maybe it's the last one. Predictions and takes. Let's revisit this Chargers win AFC West take. I'm not walking back on it just yet, but I am this close because their first 3 weeks were so impressive. They beat each of their division teams in impressive fashion. Justin Herbert looks like the man. I'm like, man, this is the team to beat. And then you lose to 2 rookies in the Giants, who have since had another impressive win, but still, you should have won that game. Lose to the Giants. You lose to the Commanders at home in disappointing fashion, and then you scrape by the Dolphins. I don't know, man. First 3 weeks, super impressive. Last 3 weeks, very, very unimpressive. I'm not walking it back just yet, but I am this close. Buccaneers win several more games like this. They won a clutch game, but I mean, they won a real game, like a non-clutch game. They had a victory formation for the first time. But I mean, this take's already aged beautifully. It's going to continue to happen. Last week, I added on the Jags and the Colts, or it might have been 2 weeks ago. I added this on that the Jags and the Colts both make the playoffs. I stand by it. I still think it's going to happen. I know the Jags lost, but I was kind of expecting it. I mean, the Colts, I would be dumbfounded if they don't make the playoffs at this point. The Jaguars, though, I believe in them. I think they do it. I think they get there. And this week, I am adding uh, a new take, and you can call me a homer for this. And I really don't even think this is a hot take, especially through 6 weeks of the season. Nick Bonito is going to win Defensive Player of the Year, leading the league with 8 sacks and 8.5, I believe, or no, 8 sacks, 8 sacks. Just a dog. The way he gets around people is so strategic. He has so many moves. He's awesome, man. I love having him on my team, and I think he's going to win DPOY. Has there ever been a team that has had 2 different players win Defensive Player back to back, Defensive Player of the Year back to back? I can't imagine there ever has been. If there is, someone please tell me, correct me, let me know. And I don't know. There's not much really in it for you. I would just really appreciate it. Anyways, this has been The Manager, presented by Outlier Sports. I am your host, Gianni Frangella. Hope you have a great rest of your day.